What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lamont's Gym and Custom Knives Show, the number 3 podcast. Before I get the show started, let me say this. My apologies to the handful of people on Rumble that watch my material, follow me. I apologize. With this new device, for some reason, I can get things edited and downloaded in a snap of a finger. I can get it uploaded on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. But for some reason, I can't get it on Rumble. So my only other alternative right now is to transfer it to my laptop, download it there, and upload it on Rumble, which means it'll be a day or two, maybe even 3 days late. And I do apologize for that because, listen, if you take time out of your day to watch my crap, my ugly mug, I appreciate you, man. I love you, and I thank you. And again, I do apologize. I have one pending podcast that will be uploaded to Rumble hopefully later on. I can't for work purposes, and I do have a normal job, but for work purposes, I don't have my laptop and this device on me all the time. I leave my laptop at a certain spot, but I'm gonna have to take it with me to get the stuff loaded for Rumble, downloaded for Rumble, and I apologize for that. So, with that being said, and my apologies up front, let me get into this podcast. It's going to be a brief one. Um, apparently, apparently, entities in the college football world, commissioners and TV executives and etc., are having talks and conversations. And I heard via Jocks 94.5 in Birmingham, Alabama, I think Greg McElroy was the host this morning, that you have entities like Greg Shanky of the SEC wanting a 16-team thing. I'm assuming you got some people that's happy with the 12. You got a whole bunch of people that want to go to the 24. So I'm gonna give my opinion on all that. My opinion don't mean squat, but listen, I told you before, I played the game at all levels. I know what I'm talking about. But in 2026, in a day's times, my thought process, well, not even my thought process, my opinions and my ideals are old school, where real football was being played. Not in today's thing where everything's video style crap. So you may or may not agree. Teach his own, God bless. I'm going to give you my opinion. And I've told you before that college football took the wrong turn years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But Greg McElroy said something that he didn't give us exact amount of the power people, the people who make things happen, like the TV executives, Fox, ESPN, the conference commissioners, the coaches, etc. He didn't give an exact number, but he said 2-3 years ago, the amount of people who were wanting a 2014 playoff fail in comparisons to the people who was thinking about the 8 and the 12 team playoff. Now, just for full context, everybody who know me know that I thought it was good with 4. Hell, I'm a BCS guy anyway. I bring back the BCS, but that'll never happen again. I was happy with the 4. Because in all actuality, you're going to have 4 to 6 teams that are the absolute best in all the country every year. I honestly think it's more 4 than it is 6. You may have 2 teams that, that may do an upset or whatever, but really 4 teams. So McElroy was saying that in 2026, let's go back. So before you would have two, let's just say 2% of the people, of the power people who made things happen was for the 2014. And according to him, in today's time, in 2026, that's more like 6 to 8. That number went from 2% to 6 to 8%. In other words, 3, 4, 5 years ago, out of 10 people, only 2 wanted the 2014. As we speak right now, as the power brokers are talking and conversating, that number has went from 2%, 2 people, to 6 people, possibly 8. Now, I didn't think things could get any worse after the past couple years. I really didn't. With this news, think about this, y'all. Okay, you can throw out the student athlete thing. That means nothing anymore. These are not student athletes. These are paid professional football players. But they're at the college level, meaning they still have rules where they have 80 scholarship players, and a bunch of walk-ons. That could change in the future. But since they being professional, because in the NFL, I think you got don't get me the line about this. I want to say a 50 to 60 man roster or something like that. But you got practice squads cats that can play NFL football. So if A, B, C, and D, if your right tackle and your right guard go down, you can bring some off the practice squad if the second string, goes down. So in college football, you honestly, and I mean this with all my heart, my soul, and listen, these guys put on the shoulder pads and helmets, but you honestly have very few that are capable of playing a 12-game season and then another 5 to 6 games in a 2014 playoff. Just being honest with you. It's not sustainable. Everybody talked about the transfer portal, and rightfully so, but the transfer portal and this unlimited monopoly money being passed around, it's unsustainable. That's true. All that's fact. But when you go to a 24 team, a 36 team, a 48 team, a 68 team playoff, dude, that, in my opinion, that's top 3 of the most egregious crap that these guys have cooked up for a sport that I once loved. But let's not be mistaken. It's all about the money. And when you got this monopoly money being passed around, everybody wants a piece of the pie. That's the one thing that makes me sick. And I guess, listen, I'm just one little dot on this earth. My opinion don't matter. What I do and think don't matter. But it just hurts me. It hurts my heart to think that these people, these power brokers, coaches and commissioners and the TV executives, that they would sacrifice the education, the morality of these young men for money. Incredible. I heard where, I think Sankey and the SEC, with a going from an 8-team in conference schedule to a 9-team in conference schedule, would rather have the 16 teams. If I'm not mistaken, with the 16 teams, you can still have the conference championships. In the SEC, that's $50 to $60 million a year just for that one game, and nobody has to share it. I want you to think about that. Just this one game gonna produce $50 to $60 million, and it don't have to be shared. when and listen, I'm a big boy and I know I live in a big world. But when a wolf or a tiger, jaguar, once they taste blood, they can't go back to being a vegetarian. They can't go back to eating grasshoppers and flies. No, they got to hunt for blood. So when these commissioners and executives and coaches, when they get this money, they start living a certain lifestyle. When these so-called players come from the ghetto and and hell they sign a contract for, no, they don't sign contracts. So some booster or some team pay them $100,000. They ain't playing for less than that no more. If they're good enough. So this is where we are. Well, this is where they are. Me personally, and this is me. Listen, I ain't got long left on this earth. My life expectancy is in my 70s, and I'm gonna try to live the best I can for the next 20 some years. If longer, if that's possible, if it's in His will, if it's in God's will. But I'm not going to be complicit in these shenanigans. For the past, I don't know, few months, whatever, I've seen a couple of things via the internet, with the spring break and Daytona, that debacle, and other situations. A young lady that I listen to on Instagram, her name is Shamika Michelle. She brought forth some instances, some things, some situations that done happened in the past couple of weeks. In a mall in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a big fight somewhere in Atlanta or somewhere, and all these teen takeovers. I didn't know all this crap was happening. And listen, I'm on the internet every day, but I'm like, what's happening? On my last podcast, I told you about, going to my daughter's, band concert, and I'm looking at weirdos. And weirdos they are. They are. But I promise you this. Those weirdos ain't out there fussing and fighting and cutting and burning up stuff. They might later on, but they're not doing it right now. What's the lesser of the two evils? I don't know. I mean, all of it's out of my thought process, but it is what it is, man. And the one thing that took me away from the world, the one thing that took me away from all the hustle and bustle and garbage going around the world was football. Now I don't have that. I don't watch the NFL, don't follow the NFL. I probably watch it on average 1 or 2 games a year. And this goes way back. College football was my bread and butter. High school, as long as I had kids in high school, I was going to support them, and therefore, I was obligated to go to the football games. That's not happening anymore. My nephew, he's graduated JSU. He's a grad assistant now. He's doing his thing, but there's no allegiance there. Not for me. So I guess my point to all this is, y'all, football was my outlet. Football was my go-to, my passion, everything. Now, I've never put football above my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and nothing would be above Him ever. Nothing would be above my Christianity and my support of my Lord. But just on an everyday hustle and bustle, man, I could go to college football. When I first got into my everyday YouTube thing, it was football. It was all football. And I can't be complicit in supporting college football anymore. I'm not. I haven't watched it. I think I watched one or two Alabama games last year. I don't think I watched any of the playoff games. I watched some of my nephew. That was his last season. I watched some of his games at JSU. Other than that, I just if I do watch a game, it's probably North Dakota State, somebody like that. Where these guys are truly playing football, they may be getting a paycheck, and I hope they are. I really do. I hope they are. But all of the cockroaches and the ants and the flies are not dealing with your North Dakota States right now. They may be, because I think they went to Division One, power, the Power 4 or 5, whatever. But Division One AA, I don't care if these guys are getting paychecks, but you still have the passion for the sport. It is not just about money. Now, I'm gonna switch over to basketball real quick and to tell you that passion still exists when it comes to college sports. The guys who played this last season in Alabama with the basketball team, these guys loved Alabama. They loved Tuscaloosa. They loved the program. They loved what it stood for. And listen, the football team is where the passion is at Alabama. All the history, all the trophies, championships. I know they don't want championships in softball and gymnastics and this and that. But football is where the passion is. But these guys love to play basketball at Alabama. It wasn't for just a paycheck. It was for the A. When we went to school, I played for that W, Walter Wilbur. When I went to college, I played for that N, Nebraska. Well, I actually didn't play for Nebraska, but I was part of the team. And when I transferred, I played for the L in Livingston. When I played professional with the Southerners, I played for that it was GS, Georgia Southerners, that GS. You can't, these guys playing today and transferring here to that, they can't give you no history on the schools that they are at. They can't tell you a class that they went to. But listen, it is what it is. I'm going to say this, then I'm going to get the heck up out of here, man. To this date, as long as I've had my podcast channel and platforms, the two largest viewerships that I've gotten has been Tennessee Hate Week about a year or two ago. I don't know if it was 2024, 2025, can't remember. I got tons and tons of views. Tons of views. Damn near went viral. And the other one, I think I was talking about some world conflict and, blah, blah, blah. And it did very well. The rest of my stuff, I get 5 views on YouTube. I get 40 to 50 on Twitter, get 10 to 15 on Rumble, get 1 or 2 on Facebook. All well and good. But my point to saying that is, sports is really where it's at. Sports and world events. But if I do podcasts on sports from here on out, very few of them will be on college football. Unless I'm giving you updates on what I heard today and the situations going on. I might do that from time to time, but the one thing that I have loved all my life is gone. And that's just where we are right now. But anyway, enough said about that. I'll see you guys next time. I love you and I do appreciate you. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, as always, keep him first. I'll catch you next time.